Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pocus's 10x Go-to-Market podcast. We have a very special guest today, Rob Giglio, who is the Chief Customer Officer at Canva. He is one of Pocus's customers. He's become an incredible thought partner for me and the Pocus team. And every time I meet with Rob, I feel like I learn something new about the world of go-to-market and running the business that is Canva, an incredible previous organization. So I'm very excited to have Rob here. For those of you that are new, this is your time to learn from industry experts like Rob on all things that are top of mind for you. And I have some questions to ask him, but of course, write in chat if anything comes to mind. So Rob, you have an incredible background at logos like Canva, HubSpot, Docusign, Adobe. Like, I don't know anyone with your resume. So tell me a little bit about your background before we jump right in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been lucky to work at some pretty amazing companies. But maybe more importantly, I've been able to work with some amazing people. Like, cause that's, I think, if I think about like what I've picked up along the way, it's like these great relationships and great training. I've really worked for and with some spectacular leaders. Um, yeah, I mean, a third of my career was spent in consumer packaged goods, doing classic sales and marketing and consumer packaged goods. About a third of my career was in retail, a mix of actual physical retail, like places like Old Navy, and then e-commerce, which e-commerce was sort of the early days of tech and PLG. And then the last third of my career has been spent in classic tech between Adobe and Docusign, HubSpot, and now the awesome Canva.
So Canva is probably one of the most unique companies in the world, really, with the impressive self-serve install base, and you're here to lead out all of go-to-market. Tell us about your role at Canva and where you're most excited about where Canva is heading in the future with B2B.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we could do a whole podcast on just Canva because there's so much to unpack. There's great podcasts with our founders, which are really worth listening to. On this podcast today, we're going to focus on go to market, but there's a lot to share about the way the company thinks and acts, both in the world as well as from a product perspective. That as a employee of Canva makes me really proud. My team and I are primarily focused on businesses, though. When we talk about internally, we talk about Canva in every business. And we don't really, we're not worried so much about like what SKU they have. We're not worried about, you know, uh, I guess really like industry type. We do focus on certain industry types, but we find that there's a use case for Canva in every organization in the world. And frankly, even though I just said businesses, it also includes nonprofits, it includes public sector, and it includes education all around the world.
That's amazing. And that is something that's so special about Canva is you can see large organizations that are using Canva across the org, but then you also can see just one person creating their, I don't know, wedding invites on Canva. So there's just so much range there, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's increased over the years. I mean, one of the things that these are internal words, like we call them doc types. Like a social media post for us is a doc type, an email is a doc type, a presentation is a doc type. And it's interesting because as we add doc types like video or like some of our AI features built up inside of the video editing or image gen, what we find is it just gives more users more chances to use Canva in new and exciting ways. And that creates both penetration into the TAM, but it also creates depth of use. So we get a mix of like more users and deeper use, which is a really great, as you know, from a product perspective, is really great.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about the future of work. So, in our last conversation, you were talking about how Canva is really leading the charge on this. So, what does that even mean? What is the future of work to you? How are you changing it? How is work changing? So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I think the most pronounced way that work has changed in recent times is it became very virtual. And, that we all can relate to. Here we are on a podcast. Earlier, we were on a Zoom or we were on, some other kind of video conferencing. And the second that happened, visual connection became critically important. Like we weren't face to face as much as we were in the past, and we aren't going to be in the future. And so what's happening is work is turning highly visual, and the ability to communicate efficiently visually has gone up dramatically. And that's really what we're seeing. And when you look at the way that businesses communicate between each other, yeah, certainly on the legal front, it's text heavy, but almost every other interaction is becoming graphically heavy. It's no longer just purely text. So there's like the value in data graphics, and there's value in imagery, and there's value in video, and there's value in video clips, and so that's just a modern way to engage and to work, and it helps us engage our employees, but it also helps us engage our customers and prospects.
So let's go maybe one click deeper into future of work, how it's changing organizations. I know that go to market teams, sales teams are also evolving a lot. We both know that is selling to sales teams. And what we see from our side is sales teams are looking to be more efficient, do more with less, etc. I know from your side, you're thinking a lot about how do we be more visual and customer focused. Can you break that down for me tactically of what that means in terms of how this future of work, what that will look like with Canva, or what that looks like for specifically sales or go-to-market teams?
Yeah, well, most sales teams are using Canva in ways that, like, create highly personalized and very on-brand decks. So, probably, like, if I was to break it down most simply, it's it's no longer generic communication. It's very personalized, and it's very, high impact. And so, for us, this means you see it in QBRs, you see it in customer pitch decks, you see it in the way we visualize data. And it comes down to, like, both in Canva as well as or what we see from our customers is trying to communicate visually to make it easier to digest information. That's probably the biggest way.
Yeah. And are you seeing, maybe I'll turn it around to you. So or I'll give you an example. So at Pocus, we all live on Canva. So our sales, CS, marketing team, like I've become, even as the founder, to the point where I couldn't get my job done without Canva, which I would never have said about, Google Slides before. Like I'm a power user of Canva. Um, how are other sales teams using it? Like I can tell you for us, we use it for things like customer EBRs or all hand presentations, even our board decks, enablement, etc. Is this kind of the things that you're seeing on the sales side as well?
Yeah, I mean, like, you nailed it. First of all, thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate Focus as both a tool and a solution for us, but as well as a thought partner. And I think what you're seeing in the rest of the world is teams are using Canva the way you are. It's huge for enablement. I mean, enablement teams are using it to create usable assets and on-brand content. Um, we, like a simple, very, very tactical example is we have Canva recordings. Canva recordings allow someone to attach a video with a slide presentation. So that's a really powerful way to communicate if you're remote and not present. So yeah, I think how you're seeing it and how you're using it is spot on with the way the rest of our customers are.
Yeah, and I love the point that you made before around personalization being so key. We see that with our output of Pocus of, you need to send highly personalized emails and notes and follow-ups and account plans, etc. And for you all, it's all the content that gets in front of an end user has to be highly personalized and something that people actually react to just because everything's become so noisy that we need to build things for the end user that's hyper personalized, relevant, timely, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, um, not dissimilar to marketers. Sellers have to do more with less. Buying cycles are noisier. So penetrating and breaking through is critically important. Um, and data visualization is, like, not that easy. And if you can do it in Canva and we make it easy and fast, that, customers really appreciate that.
100%. You actually have some looking at the chat a bit. We are hearing from one person, lots of Canva love. Someone said, my daughter saw me using Canva while working and she excitedly said, Canva, I use that at school. And then you have another Q&A. This is actually a little bit of a different topic. But interesting question. Canva has, like we said, has solutions for individuals, for SMBs, mid-market, and enterprise. Do you have separate teams within Canva org for each of those different personas or ICPs?
Yeah. And organizationally, we tackle it in a couple of different ways. Like we really focus our product teams on platform solutions. Actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll back up for a second and give you a metaphor that our founder Mel loves to use. Um, she talks about it as a cupcake, and I love that metaphor because the way we think about Canva, if you think about it as a cupcake, is the platform is the cake, and so the platform features things like editing, things like some of the doc types, some of the core features inside of the various doc types. Those are good for everybody, so everybody gets cake. And then when you go to customize, you put frosting on top. And so there might be a level of customization that's great for students. And so we have a team that focuses on students and they build frosting for students. And then there's another team that focuses on businesses and they build frosting for businesses. And those are like higher level features that are more than just cake, but not so super specialized. And the last ingredient in a great cupcake is sprinkles. And sprinkles are little things that are just like really focused. Like it might be, well, let's just use in a business context. It might be like having SSO. SSO is not something that every single organization needs. Certain organizations need it. Enterprises need it. And so that's kind of considered a sprinkle. So that's how Canva is thinking about it. And then we organize around it. From a go-to-market perspective, we really are focused on consumers on one side, students, which is like our whole education focus, and then businesses. And if you're in K-12, so anything under high school, it's free. So we provide free product all around the world for students. And then if you're in higher ed, then you have a university or college subscription, typically paid for by the university.
Do you see that the sales team skill set has to be, or go to market generally, has to look really different based on, well, whether you're selling to education versus SMB versus enterprise?
Um, that's actually interesting. I don't think the skill set of selling has to be different. I think if you have the right process and the right methodology, you could apply that to any vertical, you could apply that to any sector, you could probably apply it to almost any country. What gets different is your knowledge base of the end user. And so what we really try to focus on is how can we be very knowledgeable about the buyer and the user. And so we do separate our education team and our public sector team, what we call strat, which is like really large multinational companies, to like our SMB team. And the things that those teams know about their end user is highly specialized. And that's the way we differentiate.
It is another question that I did not prepare you for. But do you also feel like, so HubSpot, you came from more of a traditional sales motion, I guess some of a PLG engine. But Canva's like a PLG engine like no other company, maybe a few others. Do you feel like you have to hire different types of sellers? Like, do you have to hire sellers that excel at a PLG motion, or are you just looking for people that deeply understand education or enterprise or mid-market?
Great sellers, like great sellers. Like I think anybody who's listening to this podcast, if they're thinking that um, their special place needs a special person, I'm not positive that that's the case. Like I think in our environment, those skills are really transferable. And what we recruit for are things like great communication skills, high results orientation, um, the ability to take initiative and follow through on your own, deep customer empathy, like the kind of core skills that almost anyone can have. And if you find people that have it at great lengths, then you train them. You train them on your product and you train them on the customers that they're going to be selling to, which, we always call like, marketing speak, we call it the persona or the ICP. Um, but no, I don't think we hire someone that knows PLG more than they know enterprise selling at all. Like, and in fact, if you look at our best sellers, it's not just one kind of person. It's like it's a mix of a highly diverse talent base. What they all share in common is high results orientation, great communication skills. They take great initiative. They end up being great at using Canva, and they really understand their segments.
Super interesting. So would you say the types of people that you hired at Canva were similar to HubSpot and other companies previously? Because you're looking for kind of core DNA versus like expertise in the market or the segment?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've hired like if you looked at our sales organization now, it's incredibly diverse. Like people that come from all kinds of backgrounds and they share attributes and skills, not some specific background or training. Um, and when I think back on like people who were great at Docusign or sellers that were great at Adobe or that were great at HubSpot, all those folks share some of the same characteristics. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about sales. Like you can learn to be a good seller if you have some of these kind of core um, behaviors.
It's actually something I forgot to ask you in the beginning when we were thinking about back to your career. On paper, on your resume, it looks very intentional, right? Like you've gone from Adobe, Docusign, HubSpot, Canva, like leading brands. And I think you mentioned like Old Navy previously. And something we've talked about is how maybe on paper it looks linear, but in reality, you were following people. And this kind of reflects it seems similar of like the people you hire, or it's based on people more than anything. The where you go next is based on those people as well.
Yeah, I think that's really accurate. Like the reason I have come to Canva was probably first about the people. It was about the founders. Like I really believe in they talk about a two-step plan. We have a two-step mission. One is to be as big as we possibly can, which is inspiring as heck, but not so that we're just big for the sake of being big as an entity and being valuable. Like it's not the end game. The end game is the second part of the two-step plan, which is to do as much good as possible. And I think that is uniquely possible when you work for a private company that is founder led, but it's not like it could happen at any company. Any company could declare that their ultimate mission is beyond just simply shareholder value, that is shareholder value plus something else. For me, that was like incredibly motivating. Secondarily, I know Canva to be just a winning tool that people really love. Um, and so, to be a part of that with this kind of a leadership team is awesome.
It is, and you said it is kind of different private versus public companies on being able to have that two-step. Do you think public companies can still have that mindset, or there's, like, really just a different feeling of being at a private
No,
organization?
I think public companies can. I think it maybe takes a different kind of courage for public companies to be that declarative about why they exist. Um, and for the longest time, like I can remember early in my career, companies were doing vision, mission, values work.
Yeah,
And I sort of feel like it was a really great attempt and it got a little misguided.
yeah.
It became just sort of something to put on a poster or something to like kind of put a flag next to. And it didn't come to life. But I've worked at companies that do care a lot about doing a lot of good. And you can do both. You can do a lot of good and you can be really big. You can be commercially incredibly viable. You can have an incredible market cap. You can return incredibly for shareholders and to employees while also doing a lot of good. You just have to decide that that's your reason for being.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, maybe this we took a turn off of go to market, but
Well, we'll turn back, but I do agree. I told you, Rob, we're gonna go off topic. Next, I'm gonna ask you about your mustache, but, we We it is important though. I feel like a lot of companies just establish vision, mission, values, and then don't actually do anything about it. Like how you do things about it is making sure that you're hiring the people that fit these criteria. You celebrate the people that are, resonating a bunch with it. You kind of have to let go of people that don't fit your values. And so, I totally agree. Maybe we'll veer back for the last few minutes. Let's talk about everyone's favorite topic of AI. So I'd be curious for you, how do you see AI changing the world of go to market with visual content and maybe what's been possible now that wasn't possible, let's say a year ago?
oh my gosh, so many things. Maybe what I would like at the risk of excluding so many other relevant, important factors that relate to how AI helps in a go-to-market context. I'm going to pick just one. Hopefully, the audience is going to give me grace. It's like oh, you didn't pick this other one. They're going to be okay with it. And I'm going to say the one that I love most is personalization. And the reason I'm saying that is AI enables a level of research and data gathering and information creation and message specificity and content creation that like we could not have imagined at any kind of scale. And it allows all kinds of people that work in go to market to be incredibly personalized, but more importantly, hyper relevant. And we know there's this saying, you've probably heard it, everybody's heard it, relevance equals revenue. Like you've heard this, I hope. Yeah. So you have to be relevant if you're going to really drive great results. Like being irrelevant misses the mark. Like your ads don't resonate, your sales pitch doesn't land, your pricing is off track, your every part of your go to market motion is just askew if you're not hyper relevant. But the question is, how do you become relevant? And the way you become relevant is you become very personalized. And AI enables that because it allows an individual or an organization to digest information and variables and uh, messaging that you just couldn't possibly execute any other way. So there you go. That's how I think it's impacting. A lot of people think it's like purely efficiency or cost savings or any of this other stuff. Maybe those are things. Those aren't the things for me. The things for me are like get hyper personalized, like at a level that you just can't even imagine, then be incredibly relevant, and then see better results. That's how I like to think about it.
I love it, and you can see how that shows up in Canva, and, of course, I'm gonna mention Focus as well. That's where we spent a lot of our time thinking as well in terms of, how do we show relevant leads with relevant messaging and relevant insight to help convert leads faster, and I agree with you, efficiency is important, but what are all these other things that are important, that go along with beyond kind of maybe how efficient reps work, but also can they generate more revenue? Can they meet more influential stakeholders in the deal, whatever that looks like. And so that something that's exciting with the Pocus Canva partnership is we're both mutual customers of each other. And I'd love to hear from you kind of with the partnership with Pocus, what matters most to you through the Pocus partnership and kind of tell us a little bit about the metrics or the kind of vision that Canva looks for in using Pocus.
Yeah. Well, it loops right back to the point about relevance. I think Pocus is providing us like real time, highly actionable signals that guide the work that our reps is doing. And it's not just like BDRs, it's not just AEs, or it's not just CSMs. It's like our whole go to market experience is based around a customer journey. And you've helped us gather and prompt signals through that customer journey to guide the right kind of conversation with an account or the right kind of outreach with a current customer. Um, and I think we're continuing to do more work together. Like we're figuring out a way to stitch your signals and your direction with our tools to create visual content, which I think like ultimately that's like what we all want. We want something that is hyper personalized, using the right data to guide the right actions to be really relevant for our prospects. Because again, like I see Monica put in the chat, like I see you went to college X, now buy my thing. Like, that's not it. Like, it's what problems are customers trying to solve and how can we together make it easier for them to solve those? Because then you have a tool that adds value. And I don't think anybody wants to like sell anything, software included, that doesn't add value. Canva as an expression, I love it. I think it's really great. The expression is give value first, get value second. And the implication is like, go help someone solve a problem. If you help them solve a problem, they'll be happy to pay you for a product later. So we have a heavy free, like our freemium model is the engine. And I think that just helps because it holds us accountable to deliver a great product that people want to use. And I know you feel the same way.
100%. And it's been very interesting. I think you all have a very kind of future, kind of really innovative way of thinking through go to market. And I remember probably a year or two ago when you first joined Canva, you said, here's our customer journey. we need signals at each phase to power enterprise or mid-market or education. And it's been really cool to work together to see kind of how that's evolved over time. And I think that there's so much more we can do together as well. And hopefully 2026, we can announce more of that. That'll help with personalization and relevance.
No, I
But
would love that. Yeah, we would love that. We would love that because I think it would make us a better company. It'd make our Canva organization more impactful for our customers. And importantly, I think it would then set up a model for customers that are neither a Canva customer nor a Pocus customer. And so, if we can set up the example of what this could look like, then there's a ton of businesses all around the world that would benefit from Pocus and Canva brought to life. So we should do that.
All right, more to come. I like the teaser, Rob. Maybe one final question. So this is our final rapid fire question we ask a lot of people. What is an outdated go-to-market or sales habit that we should not be doing anymore?
Um, is it okay to say that we still have to do it, but we shouldn't have to do it because it's just outdated?
Yes, that's
And
fair.
if we haven't solved it with technology, that we're lame. Uh, I think call notes is like just a thing of the past. Like, what are we doing? Um, I mean, well, okay. How about this one? And I have friends in these places, so I'm careful. But like, please update Salesforce. Please update
Mhm.
HubSpot. That is like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing? Updating, like, that should be incredibly automated. Yeah, that just sounds like you're like adding a field to a Rolodex, which I think most of these people, most modern listeners don't even know what a Rolodex is, probably. Because they didn't do business when there were Rolodexes, but which is a good thing. Yeah, but don't add another field. Don't put someone's fax number on the Rolodex card.
All right, we're done with fax numbers and Rolodexes. I like it. No, I agree. I think that it'll be really cool to see how much has already evolved in the last 3 or so years. Like, when we have this conversation again in 3 years, it'll look so different, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah,
I
I'll
know.
add another one. Can I add another one? Because I'll get these, and you probably get these. I get probably one a day. Uh, just a cold outreach phone call that is so just irrelevant.
Not personalized.
I can't take those anymore. Like, I actually listen if someone calls and they're even slightly relevant and kind of on message. I usually listen because I'm like so surprised at how good and how much potential there is. And the other ones, I just I can't even handle. I'm like, I'm so sorry that whoever is equipping you with this kind of content for your outreach is giving you really bad information.
Yep.
Like, I'll hear your pitch, but you got to know you should ask for more.
Yeah. And you should also tell them to buy Pocus, and then they could have some more
Maybe
relevant.
that'll be my new pitch. I'd like to set myself up as maybe I could be an affiliate channel.
There you go. There you go. We'll talk about that offline, Rob. Thank you so much for being here. This was incredible. As always, love my conversations with you and excited to catch up soon.
Yeah, I'll look forward to it. You didn't ask, but Movember.
Movember. There we go.
Thank you.
It'll look a little different next time you see him on the podcast.
Free. Bye.